assume let's get into the main topic, which would be, Kendrick Lamar turned up and showed out last night at the Super Bowl halftime performance. And I know it's been a mixed bag. A lot of people loved the performance. A lot of people didn't like it. I love that it was unapologetically black. I love that it was unapologetically hip hop. And I know a lot of people were expecting pomp and circumstance. Y'all wanted explosions. Y'all wanted choreography. Y'all wanted people flying across the damn stadium. I mean, maybe if they got Pink to come on and do the show next year, they could do that. But for now, I just think that a lot of people, we're in this era of division and racism is rearing its ugly head. And, a certain president or someone who's acting like he's the president but ain't really doing nothing but just signing executive damn orders and acting like that's actual work. When it's like, okay, your stroke of a pen don't mean jack shit because a lot of legalities is going to come with the stroke of your stupid pen and the ridiculousness that you allowing that other idiot apartheid Clyde to be doing up in there messing with our social security and our freaking money and all the other stuff. So all the felonies that y'all up in there creating is what everybody should be focusing on. But yeah, of course, in Black History Month, everybody's been unapologetic blackity black, and I'm here for it. Last week, people was, the clear folks was pissed off about Miss Mama's Beyonce winning, best country album and album of the year, and say what you want about she bought it or Jay-Z bought it for her and all the other stuff that's going on. It's a bunch of hokey. It's a bunch of BS. And I'm not going to sit up in here and go through the whole history of, the banjo actually came from Africa. The fact that, slaves, when they came over to America, yes, they brought the banjo with them. There's history behind that. Google schmoogle. It is your friend. I don't want to sit and have to go through the whole history of the contributions that Black people have contributed to country music. Same thing with Kendrick Lamar. He went in, he did his thing. Yeah, he dragged Drake, rightfully so. And I had to cackle because Charlemagne I ain't never seen that man throw a bigger temper tantrum than he did this morning, where he was going in talking about, oh, he's so much bigger than not like us. He didn't have to perform that song. And I'm sitting there like, sir, if you would just sit and say that you're a hardcore Kendrick fan, which I am as well. I'm a big Kendrick fan. I was a Kendrick fan long before this whole beef with him and Drake. But here's the thing. Drake and J. Cole, them two light brights, decided to assert themselves. And I know I'm a light bright too. That's why I can say it. Asserted themselves, started this mess, and Kendrick came in and finished. He did a checkmate, especially on Drake, because Drake was running his damn mouth, acting like he the greatest rapper of all time. So if you don't sit your singing ass down somewhere, because you are not the greatest rapper of all time. I can name 5 off the top of my head, and you are not a part of that list. You ain't been around long enough to be a GOAT, let alone, well, he could be a donkey more than a GOAT. But anyway, so Kendrick came in, did what he did, and for Charlemagne to kind of say, oh, he didn't have to do Not Like Us. First of all, it's expected that he would do that song. Number one, yes, those of us who follow hip hop and are big hip hop fans and all about, Compton culture, all that other stuff, and he definitely repped Compton, especially by bringing out Serena Williams. And I know a lot of people felt like he was doing that despite Drake. That could have been a piece of it. But also, what people need to look at is the fact that Serena is also, and her sister Venus, and the whole Williams family are from Compton. And also, how they were there to rep the community. And for her to get up and do the crip walk, and also, y'all need to remember this, she got in trouble when she did a crip walk when she played one of her matches. I think it was at Wimbledon. After she won, she did the crip walk, they was mad. So I love like the multi-layeredness, the nuances, the subliminals, a lot of stuff. Y'all had to really dig deep and know what he was getting at when he was throwing a lot of that stuff up in there. I also love when he was doing his little dance and he looked at the camera, called Drake out and smiled. I was living for a lot of the shade. And this is why I tell people, you do not go around and poke a bear and then tell a bear how to attack you. If you wasn't willing to come out and try to come at me, and you mad because I was able to drag you down to the floor for a while now and really checkmate your behind and say game over at the end when the whole situation was done, then that's that. But also, to get back to what I was saying about Charlemagne, yeah, you could be a hardcore a hardcore K-Dot fan, but you have to realize is that this song has become bigger than their beef. So it's a bone certified hit. And yeah, maybe he's more or less worried about a lot of you Johnny come latelys who are only jumping on this whole Kendrick bandwagon because y'all hate Drake. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's who he's really upset with. But for him to go and say, "Oh, he didn't have to perform the song," yeah, he didn't have to. Yeah, there's so many other songs that he could have put up in there, but there was a point that he was trying to make with this entire performance, especially when he had Samuel L. Jackson come out as Uncle Sam, and basically all the little nuances stuff in there. It was, he's a thinker. He's a thinking man's performer. He's not just going to sit up there and give y'all, okay, costumes, pyro, choreography, marching bands, although there was a marching band moment. But he wasn't going to give you all of that stuff up in there like y'all would expect from a Beyonce. But Beyonce gave you nuance too when she performed. He's not going to give you Lady Gaga and Madonna and all that other stuff. That's not the type of performer he is. He's a conscious rapper, if you want to kind of put him in that category. Somebody who is going to make you think. And clearly, a lot of the people that was mad over that performance are not thinkers. They're probably emotional and not people who actually use their damn brain. So the performance opened up with a monologue of Samuel L. Jackson clad in a patriotic outfit. K-Dot ripped through the promotional track from his latest album, GNX, the former #1 record, Squabble Up, which I told you that's my favorite song. When I hear music, it makes me dance. Where they use that sample, because, I love me some freestyle. Maybe I don't know, but now you know. And then, he did Humble, and then he did DNA, which is another favorite of mine. I love DNA. Good Kid, Mad City. That's like one of my favorite records, actually, I will say, from Kendrick. GNX is all right. But for me, it's like Good Kid, Mad City will always be like one of my all-time favorite records for him. But anyway, so I love the fact that the backup dancers wore red, white, and blue, and at one point they basically gathered together and to symbolize the American flag. So it was basically him saying that, you know what? I know that y'all want to set up this current administration, and a lot of the cult members that follow his BS want to act like America is basically a white man's land, which, do we need to go into a conversation about colonization during Black History Month? Do we need to? So what he was saying was America is for everyone, even though technically America was full of indigenous people, Native Americans, until, certain colonizers came along and did what we love to do. We love to go over to people's lands and tell them how to live and colonize and cause the genocides and all that other stuff, which is kind of what, this idiot is trying to do with Gaza. So he could build his little resorts and push them out. And then he performed a portion of his Drake diss Euphoria. He performed Man at the Garden and Peekaboo before telling his female backup dancers that he wanted to perform his smash hit, Not Like Us. And he said, but people love to sue, which basically he was throwing a jab at Drake over his lawsuit against Universal Music Group. So he briefly played in the background, which I thought was funny and I also love the setting, because the setting literally looked like a long street with like the lights and all other stuff. So I love the fact that it kind of resembled like this long street, and he kept their stage simple. I kind of like the whole setup. But then then the song transitioned to Luther when he brought out SZA, which she was cute or whatever, but some people was accusing her lip syncing, and I think she was, but it wasn't given. Her performance was cute or whatever, but I was just like, I wasn't all that impressed. But they're going out on tour together, so I guess that's what y'all looking forward to, and y'all let me know how it is. And then also, you know what? We're not gonna throw shade at K-Dot, because you know what? He is a huge artist. His last tour was extremely successful. So if people want to sit and dilute him and want to jump on the whole bandwagon thing to hate Drake, they can hate. Y'all can do all of that. But for me, it's just like there's so much more to him than that. And if the people are not willing to come aboard and really understand and accept him and like his artistry, then okay, we don't care about y'all. So then of course, when Not Like Us came out, you had Serena Crip walked by the street light. And, a lot of people, of course, as I said earlier, was trying to be like, oh, yeah, he really brought her out to kind of throw shade at Drake because they used to date. And some people was feeling like, oh, you still hurt over that relationship. You already married. You have a child. I think she has a child with him, if I'm not mistaken, just one kid. But she's married. She's moved on. She got her life. She's doing whatever. So why are you jumping on this thing? Like I said earlier, this performance was multi-layered. So I think it was the fact, it was a coincidence that, yeah, the X thing probably had something to do with it, and it was her way of getting back at his ass. Like, that's an extra sting. But then also, she's from Compton. And he wanted somebody there who was just one of the most successful people to come out of Compton to be that representation at the Super Bowl. So then he closed the performance with TV Off, which basically began with him belting Mustard. As you know, the producer of the song, DJ Mustard, stood next to him when he going through his drama. Y'all be paying attention to the news. That's been coming out with him, and I believe like he's been going through a whole marriage custody situation with spousal support and all the other mess. Yeah, y'all could Google Schmoogle if you want to get into the whole root of that whole situation. And then basically he put the final nail in the coffin towards Drake. He yelled game over. And then the funny part that I did cackle at was when he got to the minor part and how the whole audience basically just screamed minor. And then speaking of minor, did y'all notice the chain? It's a small A, which is like a symbol of the small A minor. So there was a lot of subliminals and stuff that was thrown in the whole performance situation, which, I'm here for. But people need to realize it's like, you know what? How all of this started, and like I alluded to it earlier between the whole Drake and J. Cole situation. So how it all began was it basically takes as far back as March of 2024, where he appeared on Like That from Future and Metro Boomin. And when they did their collaborative album that came out, which is called We Don't Trust You. So he basically targeted Drake and J. Cole. And then but then it was like another song where J. Cole had said something or another, and then Drake was basically asking them, I guess, who was one of the greatest rappers of all time or something or another, if I can remember off the top of my head. And then, Drake responded. He released Euphoria. He released, then we had 16 in LA, Meet the Grams, and then, now like so it's just been a back and forth situation between the both of them. And Drake was the one that started this whole mess with him. Basically, it's like, okay, so now you're gonna come out and say I'm a woman beater and I'm all of these other things. But if I come out and say that you a child molester, allegedly, and he even bleeped out the PDF files word, like he didn't say that in the performance. So that stings. But everything else is copacetic. And then you go out here filing lawsuits, which everybody's looking like, if you actually were about hip hop instead of being a op, or some people call like a hip hop colonizer, then you would know the history of hip hop has always been about, beefing is a part of it. So you get on the wax, you say what you need to say. Like I grew up in the era of rappers going at each other, where I said Biggie and Tupac, Nas and Jay-Z, and 50 Cent and whoever else he was feeling like he wanted to go beef at the moment. And then LL Cool J had many of beefs back in the day. All the time I had, he's done a lot. I think also KRS-One used to do the whole beef back and forth as well, battle rapping. Then I remember when he did it with, what was it, him and Cannabis. That was the most iconic one that I remember when I was a kid growing up, between LL and Cannabis. When he had that song, Can I Bust? Yes, you can. Can I bust? That was my song too. But so he had a bunch of, so there was a bunch, there's a lot of history that goes with that. And for you to come up in here and act like because you're the biggest rapper pop star in the world that you don't understand that history, that's why everybody's clowning you and looking at you like you corny. And then you have a lot of the we hate Drake people jumping on the bandwagon. But if y'all not really about the whole Kendrick Lamar situation, then whatever. But you can't control those people. But I also want to point this out too, because I don't know if a lot of people's talking about this. So there was a dancer that actually got on one of the cars and put out a whole flag which said Sudan and Gaza on it. And they said, because when I was watching performance, I didn't see them tackle the person, but they caught the photo, and I wanted to make sure that people saw it, so that way, there are people out here who are still like free Palestine. We support Gaza. We don't like this ethnic cleansing situation that's currently going on, and we also need to address the fact that there were some booations that went on yesterday. There was a booing that went on towards Taylor Swift. No shame, but I'm actually glad the Kansas City Chiefs lost. I was actually betting on Philly because, Philly is literally 2 hours away from where I live because I'm in New York and I love Philly. So that was actually one of the places I was considering moving. If I was to leave New York, I was like, I'll probably move to Philly. I like the culture out there. Shout out to especially the queer community and stuff out there in the Philly, the Philly area. And so the Kansas City Chiefs lost, which I'm kind of glad because that idiot president decided to vote for them or whatever. And then I saw the Mahomes up there literally licking the crack of Trump's ass, getting a selfie. So it kind of reminds me, it was like, how was this little boy raised? Because you were this little light bright, the zebra child who has a white mother and a black father. And we know how y'all get when y'all get with these certain races. And they don't even teach y'all what it's like to be a black man in America. But because you look passable, then you align yourselves with them other people. So it kind of makes me wonder, what do you really think of black folks? You'll spread your legs for some nigga dick, but when it comes down to actually defending black folks, nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be found. We see what your true colors is. So the fact of they align themselves, and then you had Travis Kelce, who's got, where I've seen more spine than a damn jellyfish. Basically, it's an honor to play for Donald Trump or President, whatever the hell he said. And looking like boo the damn fool because you want to sit and cow down after he disrespected your girl. And they were sitting up here talking about that he was trolling her on social media because she apparently was booed. Yeah, she was booed by the Eagles. She was booed by Philly. She wasn't booed by everybody. But you got booed too, sir. Because when you walked into the arena, well, stadium actually, I saw the videos. I don't need to go on these mainstream conglomerates to get the information because they're all in your pocket. They're all scared of you because they don't want to feel the aftermath, the outcome, the wrath of what it is you plan on doing. So they're not going to give people the true tea of what actually was going on. But I watched the videos on social media, and there was one person that was like really close down to where the ground was. They were like, they had really good seats. They was like way in, like maybe a couple of rows up from, the floor. One guy sitting there screaming boo and said, "You effing traitor." I heard it with my own ears. I even sent a friend of mine the video in the group chat. I even posted in my Instagram stories. But yeah, people was out there saying, "You effing traitor." He was booed. I saw he was there with Ivanka's son. And, we're going to get into what Cardi B had to say about him too, because she was saying it was hell for her to even get in the damn stadium because he was there. So, yeah, so I basically just want to point this situation out to y'all in regards of, the performance. But I will say this, I overall enjoyed the performance. I don't know what some people were sitting there talking about it was the worst, but we're going to get into that video. I mean, we're going to get not video, but we're going to actually get into that story in a second because I wanted to kind of like separate the two, where we're going to go in on people talking about that they don't want Jay-Z headlining this whole, the music portion of the halftime performances. So I'll say all this to say, you know what? At the end of the day, K-Dot's performance was undeniably hip-hop and unapologetically black. I get that a lot of people, y'all prefer all the pomp, circumstance, and spectacle of a typical live performance where y'all want sleek choreography, danceable songs, and pyro going off every 2 damn seconds. But the performance, in my opinion, was just much more deeper than that. And it's sad that a lot of people, look, art is subjective. You have a right to like what you like. I personally like the performance. Do I think it's like up there with some of the most iconic performances in regards of like a Madonna or Lady Gaga or even Beyonce when she performed twice in that level, or Michael Jackson? No, but that's not what K-Dot gives. So I understood based off of what he was giving, what it was. So I liked it for what it was, not what y'all was expecting. Because like I said, y'all was probably up in there expecting pomp and circumstance and pyro and people doing flips off the stage and cartwheels and intricate choreography and stuff. No, it's a hip-hop show. So now, speaking of Drake, since we was talking about him and the whole Serena and all that other stuff, I hope this will be the last time that they address this situation, the whole beef. I hope we can finally put this to bed. I hope that after you say game over, that it is game over, that you just did your piece, you're ready to move on and that sort of thing. However, I do also feel that maybe that's not necessarily going to be true because, he's about to go on a joint tour with SZA. I think they announced that right after. Or was that always in the news before? I kind of sworn that I felt like SZA and Kendrick were planning on going on a tour long before, like even before the whole performance happened yesterday. But in regards to this, I feel that the song "Not Like Us" is much bigger than the beef and everything else. It's this worldwide global hit. People love the song. It is now expected that he has to perform this song whenever he goes out on tour. So, like I said, the song is bigger than him. So basically, saying all of this, because it was a lot to break down, I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of last night's performance at the Super Bowl regarding Kendrick and everything? What were you expecting? Was it everything you expected? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I definitely want to hear your thoughts. So let me know in the comments down below.